We are out of the Apex and heading to Azerbaijan for a fight night between an aging veteran and a young prospect. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC Baku fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings Fantasy Plays. But before we do that, hey, let's talk about the website for a minute. If you didn't know, we have a website, wewantpicks.com, and on that website, we have an entire suite of picks, bets, tools. We have an AI, we have 5 human cappers, and we have an entire suite of services specifically designed to help you make some money with DraftKings Fantasy and even FanDuel Fantasy. The latest update, in addition, was from the UFC Freedom 250 fight card. That was a captain's mode only fight card. So we went ahead and we built out DraftKings captain's mode for your pleasure. And I said pleasure like a human being, not like a weirdo, so don't go Googling my OnlyFans. But on the website, we have an optimizer. We have a fight simulator. We have everything you can ever want or need heading into a fight week. And if that fight week includes placing some bets, we got you covered. If that fight week includes building some DraftKings fantasy lineups, we've got you covered there as well. The event simulator is a spectacular tool that simulates every single fight 100,000 times, and it gives you the statistics. I already ran the simulation, so let's just hop in. This is looking at Fiziev, and it's saying across the 100,000 simulations, he's estimated to score, on average, 59 DraftKings fantasy points. But I could deep dive this a little further. I could go into significant strikes where he's expected to land 55.8 across the 100,000 simulations. Every single thing that we offer is available in one single package. There is no upsell. There's no cross-sell. We don't split DFS from betting. We do all of it under one umbrella for $10. Go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. It is $10 for an entire month worth of access, and the very next event is UFC 329, the return of Conor McGregor. And most of you sign up for 1 month. Some of you have been here long enough that you've decided you love it and you want to keep it forever. Instead of paying $10 forever, we have a couple of savings opportunities, if you will. 1 full year is only $100. Lifetime is $300, but for the time being, we have lowered it to $250. With promo code 250, you would get lifetime membership for $250 in celebration of America's 250th anniversary. You want to test it out for a month? Pay $10. You love it? Convert yourself over to lifetime, $250, promo code 250. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Let's go ahead and dive into this fight card. We have 13 fights. There was 12 up until literally Saturday afternoon. They added a 13th fight. So let's go ahead and break them all down. And this is the 13th fight. We're going to open it up with Tahir Abdullayev taking on Jefferson Nascimento. This is an interesting fight because I did this entire breakdown having no idea what the odds were. And Tapology, the voters on Tapology, also picked who they think win this fight, having no idea what the odds were. And everybody picked Jefferson Nascimento just to find out that Tahir is the favorite. The opening odds, betting odds, had Jefferson as a 2-1 favorite, and those plummeted. He is now the underdog. And it's an interesting fight. It's a close fight. Tahir Abdullayev, a strong wrestler. He's light in his toes. The game plan is pretty straightforward, except he doesn't really shoot takedowns. He wants a fight on the ground. When he gets it on the ground, he's immediately working for submissions. He hates striking pressure. And his takedowns are typically just waiting for scrambles to happen because he's not going to lower his level and shoot a double. But if you overcommit to something, if he end up in a clinch that doesn't work out for you, he's going to work you to the ground and immediately start looking for a submission. And he could have a ton of success if he gets it to the ground. He has taken on Jefferson Nascimento. Jefferson is a clean technical striker. He's got good speed. He can work both on the outside and on the inside of the pocket. He can wrestle as well. It's not his plan A, but it is there. His takedowns are mostly body locks. On the ground, he is having a ton of success with submissions. He's got great scrambles. But the striking is really where he shines. He's got power, he's got speed, he's fast, he's clean, and he's dangerous pretty much everywhere. What makes this an interesting fight? First of all, I think Jefferson wins this fight, and I think $7,900 is a decent price point. My only fear is he ends up on the ground. But what makes this interesting is Jefferson is very aggressive on the feet. His opponent, Tahir, hates aggression. Go watch his fight tape. You start throwing at him and he's covering up and he's turned away. He hates pressure. He hates aggression. Now that in and of itself is enough for me to say, pick Jefferson, throw him in your lineup, and I could just leave it there. But my concern is that Jefferson does overextend. He headhunts a little bit. He's trying to find that finishing combination. When he overextends and he throws a little too much, that will set up a Tahir takedown. This is a 50-50 fight in my opinion because of the styles, but Every fight starts on the feet. Jefferson just has insane pressure. I have seen Tahir turn his head, cower in fear, and hate the pressure. The striking upside is on Jefferson. The grappling upside is on Tahir. Pick your side. I do think we end up with some sort of stoppage here. I'm going to slightly lean Jefferson. I'll lean the dog because, my God, does Tahir hate striking with people. Then we have Matsumoto taking on a Bekzat Almakhan. Matsumoto is a pretty fun guy. Let's look at what he scores in his fights. He lost to Javier Basharat. He lost that fight. And even though he lost, Farid, not Javid. Even though he lost that fight, he scored 80.8 fantasy points. He covered his salary in a loss. And that's because he had 7 takedowns, 76 significant strikes, more than 5.5 minutes of control time. And that's how Gene fights. He's a well-rounded kid. He's got a black belt in multiple martial arts. He moves forward. He gets in your face. He'll strike. He'll wrestle. He'll do all the things. But the reason he keeps getting screwed because he scored 84 points. It is lost to Rob Font. The reason he keeps getting screwed is because he cuts, and he cuts easily, and there's 2 drops of blood, and everybody panics. But if I'm looking at Gene Matsumoto, win or lose, this dude scores a gazillion points because he stays busy, he gets takedowns, and he works his striking. I think he wins this fight. Sorry to spoil it for you, but let's go to the Bekzat side. Bekzat is no bum. Bekzat is an exciting fighter in his own right. He's very fun. He's got tight, dangerous striking. He's got excellent offensive wrestling, but he does a really good job striking. And the minute you're comfortable striking with him, that's when he lowers his level, shoots a real takedown. The kickboxing is solid. The jiu-jitsu is solid. The wrestling is solid. He does lack control, though. If he takes you down, you can kind of scramble your way out of there, make a little bit of space. He did just lose to Andrey in that fight. I like Gene here. I think Gene gets it done. I think Gene's pressure is going to be a problem for Bekzat. Maybe he'll lower his level and try to shoot takedowns under Gene's forward pressure, but I think Gene gets it done. First of all, I think he should still be undefeated. I don't think he lost to Rakhman. I don't think he lost to Farid Basharat. And this fight could be more of the same. I think Gene's offensive wrestling is better than Bekzat's takedown defense. And I think Gene, not the more technical striker, but I love the aggression. I love the power. I just hate that he freaking bleeds because this might be another screw job where he gets 1 drop of blood and then they score against him. But Gene's going to be the pick. I like Gene in the lineup here because of how well he scores in both wins and losses. Then we have Daniil Donchenko taking on Theodor Berggren. Berggren. These names are killing me. We got Daniil, 2 eyes in Daniil Donchenko. This dude's a nasty striker. He's got clean technique. He's got very real power. He does do a really good job chopping the tree, so he's going to light your legs up and then just fire clean rights down the middle. He is not fast, but he hits really hard. He can mix up the grappling and the striking really well, and he is violent. He's constantly looking for a finish. He will, however, fade as the fight goes on. You can see here, he beat Alex Morono. It was a decision, but he still scored 91 points. He had a knockdown, had a ton of significant strikes, some random control. And that's what I love here. That he fought a crafty veteran, was not able to finish him, and still had a showcase performance. He's going to win this fight. He should be in your lineup, but we'll take a look at Teddy. We got Teddy Berggren. This guy's an aggressive grappler. It is a tale of 2 fight styles. He's not afraid to strike, but it's not very good. He's going to come forward. He'll throw heavy 1-2s. He'll back you up against the cage, and then he's going to look to lock your body up and drag you to the ground. He is not shooting real takedowns. He's not lowering his level. He's not attacking the hips. He's working up here. He's almost like a Greco-Roman wrestler. He will take your back, though. He will find a submission. Once you hit the ground, his scrambles are absolutely incredible. The problem is he's hittable. And his BJJ is better off the top than it is if he is the one who's taken down. And I don't think any of it matters because in order for his BJJ to be any good, he has to get it to the ground. I don't think he gets close enough. I don't think he has success. I think Daniil Donchenko beats the piss out of Theodor. I think he just absolutely beats the piss out of him. He probably finishes him. Daniil is going to be in my lineup. Then we have Kaan Ofli taking on Javier Reyes. Javier Reyes, a very busy striker. He throws a nice long jab. He's got lots of kicks. He's not very technical, but he is always just doing something. He's got grappling as well. He's got upper body takedowns, decent BJJ. The traditional takedowns are not very good, but he's tough and he scrambles well. So he can shoot a takedown. It's bad. It creates a scramble, and then he ends up in a position that he wants to be in. He did just finish Douglas Silva de Andrade in his UFC debut, and he scored 255,000 points. He is taking on Kaan Ofli. Kaan Ofli is a grappler. First of all, you're going to see the flag next to his name is not Australia. DraftKings has him listed as Australia. He aligns himself with, Turkey, I believe? The dude's Australian. All right, maybe it's like how everybody in New Jersey thinks they're Italian. It's the same thing. Everybody in New Jersey all of a sudden walks into a deli like, hey, can I get, let me get the Italian combination, lettuce, tomato, mozzarella. That bullshit, the fake Italian accent for the one word, that bullshit, that's Kaan Ofli with Turkey, okay? Dude's Australian. Anyway, Kaan Ofli's an Australian grappler. He is a BJJ black belt. The takedowns are just okay. The scrambles, just okay. The striking, just okay. The power, random, I would say, just okay. That's the story of Kaan Ofli's career. He's just okay. He's not amazing at anything. I know they say he's a BJJ black belt, but I've never seen him look like a black belt. I've seen him have good grappling, but I think the problem is he's a short, little, compact guy, and you kind of need long arms for half of these techniques. So I think Kaan Ofli's got a little bit of dog in him, can make a fight tougher than it should be. There are some questions around his chin. He did just beat Yiza. I am picking Javier Reyes. And Javier Reyes is a weird guy in this DraftKings fantasy lineup because he's not cheap. He's a very expensive fighter, but he's not very good either. He just has a ton of finishing upside because he is dangerous on the ground. He is dangerous on the feet. In this case, he'll have to finish Kaan on the feet. I'm not quite entirely sure he can do that. Myron Santos was able to do it, but Myron Santos is a nasty striker. Javier Reyes is like sloppy, but dangerous. Yes, he just beat Douglas Silva de Andrade. That day he was 45 years old. I'm probably going to fade both sides of this fight. Pick-wise, I'm going to pick Javier, but Kaan's just tough enough to skate by. He's tough enough to maybe squeeze in a takedown, and all of a sudden this fight looks a little weird and you blew your entire budget on an unproven guy when we could have spent the money on Daniil Donchenko or on the next fight, Nursulton, or the fight after that, Yakhyaev. So I'm going to fade both sides of this fight. So let's talk about Nursulton, Ruziboev, and Andrey Pulyaev. I love Nursulton Ruziboev. Ever since he came into the UFC, I have picked him, I believe, I'll have to go back to the Buckley fight. I think I picked him 100% of the time. I think I picked him to beat Buckley too. So I was obviously wrong there. But I was right every other time, and not really a giant surprise outside of his UFC debut because he's been a favorite in most of these matchups. First of all, the fact that he ever made 170 pounds is insane. It's astonishing. It makes no sense. How the hell did he make 170? This dude is 6'5". He is long as hell. He's got good, powerful striking and phenomenal wrestling. You don't see it, right? There's only been 2 takedowns in his UFC career, but if you go to his regional fights and watch that tape, he's taking people down left and right, a bit of a relentless grappler, and he might need that in this matchup because he is taking on Andrey Pulyaev. Andrey Pulyaev is a good striker. Is he great? No. Is he horrible? Also, no. Andrey Pulyaev is insanely tough. He's a good striker, takes his time, he keeps things tight, he pumps a jab. Problem for him is there's not always something behind the jab, but the jab is there setting things up. He's also very tall at 6'4". He transitions the takedowns if he needs to. And we just saw in his last fight against Atabak Gutier where he was set up to fail. And yes, technically he did fail, but we saw how insanely tough he is. I think Nursulton wins this fight. I also think Nursulton ends up wrestling in this matchup. I think that jab from Andrey is going to bother him a little bit. It's going to be in his face. Andrey's not short, so now he has a guy that's almost as long as he is, pumping a jab in his face. I think he says screw it, and he shoots some takedowns, and he will have success if he does shoot the takedown. So I'm going to pick Nursulton. I'm confident in Nursulton, and while he doesn't typically score very high in DraftKings Fantasy, I actually think I'm going to throw him in a lineup. And then we have Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev taking on Julius Walker. Yakhyaev has the easiest opponent on this card. And if that is all you need, then throw him in your lineup because he scored 109 in his last fight, 134 in the fight before that. Obviously, those two people were terrible, but so is Julius Walker. So this dude just has a beautiful cakewalk into the UFC. The UFC is like, here you go, young man. Here's a bunch of easy wins. And then right when the entire public is betting on you as a minus 700 favorite against somebody decent, that guy will beat the shit out of you. They'll all call you a fraud. And that's what's going to happen to Yakhyaev's career. He is going to beat the piss out of Julius Walker here because Yakhyaev is good. He's a good prospect. He can wrestle. He can strike. The takedowns are fantastic. He's got body locks. He's got actual shots. He throws power. He throws in combinations. There's not a ton of volume, but he's accurate. He has his own good chin if you decide to crack him. Overall, he's well-rounded. He's very dangerous, and he's finishing people, but he's finishing finishable people. And then he'll win this fight. And then maybe the next fight, maybe the fight after that, they'll increase the level of competition. He's going to lose. And when he loses, you're all going to hate his guts. But let's make money on him now while we can. He is taking on Julius Walker, and I'm not trying to shit on Julius Walker. I don't think Julius Walker actually sucks, but he's only been a professional fighter for 3 years, and it shows. You can see the inexperience in his fights. He's really just an athletic guy that's got decent offensive grappling. That's it. And just being athletic and decent at grappling offensively is not enough to get wins at this level against some pretty high-level competition. So, for that reason, Julius ain't winning this fight. This is not a complicated breakdown. Abdul's going to beat the piss out of him. He's supposed to. He probably finishes him, and he probably scores really well. That simple. We're messing with the budget here, but he's probably worth that money. And then we have Eric Nolan taking on Farman Hasanov. This is another weird spot because betting-wise, Farman is just a slight favorite, but DraftKings Fantasy-wise, this dude's closing in at $9,000. He's a strong, aggressive guy. He does everything at 100%. Everything. He throws every strike with 100% intent. He's running through every takedown like he's trying to finish a tournament final. He is scrambling his ass off. He's looking for submissions. He's literally doing everything possible to finish fights. He can be a bit reckless, and that's mostly because he's chasing finishes, but he is well-rounded. He knows when he wants to wrestle. He knows when he wants to strike, and he can have a lot of success at this level. He is taking on Eric Nolan. Eric Nolan, traditionally a welterweight. He came into the UFC on short notice, and he fought Yakhyaev at middleweight. And you can see he scored fewer than 10 DraftKings fantasy points. He ended up getting submitted in the second round. But because he lasted a little bit, because he took a few shots, everybody's like, dude, Eric Nolan's pretty good. He's getting credit for not getting smoked as quickly as they thought he would get smoked. Style-wise, well-rounded guy. He can strike, he can grapple, does a pretty good job pressuring forward, decent jabs, good high kicks. He will maintain his defense. He's somewhat defensively sound, but he is low volume. He'll ball up if you really pour it on him, and he can be finished. And I don't think he wins this fight. The problem is DraftKings is on board with that. Farman Hasanov should win this fight. He comes forward. He's busy. He's finishing everybody. He's in your face. He's doing all those things, and I know Eric Nolan can be finished. My only concern would be Farman's cardio. Let's say, for some reason, Eric Nolan decides to be tough, and this fight goes 15, 20 minutes. Let's say that happens. Obviously, it can't go 20. You get my point. If we end up in a third round and Farman's death gas, it could get weird. Farman's going to be the pick. I'm probably not going to put him in my lineup. I think we have some other fighters that are a little more proven that I have a little more confidence in. Then we have Mikhail Oletsachuk taking on Abus Magomedov. Whoever you think wins this fight should be in your lineup because this fight will end by finish. Now, it could be a Mikhail knockout because Mikhail, as we know, phenomenal striker. He's fast, he's clean, he's powerful, he's accurate. He gets his hands going. He can put people on their ass. He's on this nice little 3-fight win streak, and it's 2 finishes and a decision. And if you look at it, you're like, damn, dude, he's hitting his stride. And then you look a little closer. Oh, SD Dumas, that guy is absolute ass. Gerald Mearshart, all right. The most finishable guy on the roster. Marc-Andre Barriault, I'm pretty sure he's been cut. He's terrible, but he's tough. So we ended up with a decision. So now all of a sudden, McCall's win streak isn't so great looking, but he remains insanely dangerous on the feet. If we take a look at his opponent, Abus Magomedov, and they may have his full name written out on your sports book. It's like Abus. There's 9 extra letters after Abus. He has the Magomedov last name, but he is not a wrestler. He can wrestle, and that is important here, but he's not a wrestler. He's typically a striker, pretty versatile striker at that. The wrestling is there, but is squarely a backup plan. You can see here, there's only a handful of fights where he went to the wrestling first, and that's when he felt a little bit of power. He felt some power. He's like, nah, fuck this, I'm out. Ooh, I'm out. And I think that's what we get here. I'm going to pick Abus. I like him at $8,300 because I think he will score well. I think he will finish McCall. McCall on the ground is absolutely useless. McCall on the feet, a terror. I think Abus needs to survive early, avoid whatever chaos comes his way, get this fight to the ground. Then if he does get it to the ground, he can find himself a submission win. Now, he has flipped to a full-blown underdog in real life. He is the underdog in this matchup. DraftKings Fantasy has him priced as a favorite because this was locked in days ago before the money came pouring in. But I still think Abus gets it done, and I do like him in a lineup. Then we have Ikram Aliskirov taking on Bruno Ferreira. Ikram Aliskirov is an interesting guy to break down because he is a wrestler. I know that this says he doesn't really wrestle. Obviously, his last fight he did, but I know the rest of this says he doesn't. He's a wrestler. That is what he is. He's evolved his hands over time. He's gotten more comfortable with them, but he is a wrestler. And he had to go to the wrestling against Jun Young Park because Jun Young Park is so tough. And in that fight, he scored really well because he had a whole bunch of takedowns. But he also had an interesting conversation with his corner. Heading into that third round, his corner said to him, "Don't look tired or he will finish you." And that's an interesting thing to be told. Because for them to feel like they have to tell him that means, A, he's tired. B, they think he can be finished. Which means they think he's kind of a soft pussy. And that matters here because he's taking on Bruno Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira has almost no cardio, which is very, very disappointing. But Bruno Ferreira does have insanely heavy hands. Big, heavy, ridiculous hands that can knock anybody out at any moment. And he also has high-level judo. He can take people down. And early, a fight with Bruno is tough. Unless you're Gregory Rodriguez in his last fight. Early, you can have a really tough 5 minutes with Bruno because he can throw you. He can knock you out. He can do a lot. I'm actually going to pick Bruno here. And if we're playing games and we're trying to find a spot in our lineup and I need an affordable dog, I think Bruno's a decent dog. Now, in a couple of these losses, hasn't looked great, right? Ruziboev got him out of there kind of early. But I love Ruziboev. Magomedov got him out of there after he full-blown faded. Cardio kind of stinks. And Gregory Rodriguez knocked him out in the first round to avenge what was Bruno knocking Gregory out in his first round. My one and only concern here is the cardio. If I knew Bruno could go for 15 full minutes at his full potential, he'd be the easy pick. I'm still going to pick him. It's not easy. I had to look at myself in the mirror, convince myself quite a bit here, but I think Bruno's just way too dangerous, and I think he's going to start swinging on Ikram. Ikram's going to hate it. Maybe he shoots a bad takedown. Maybe things get weird, but Bruno's going to be the pick. I'm shooting my shot. I'm rolling the dice. It is what it is. You're going to need a couple of dogs in your lineup this week because of how expensive the heavy favorites are. Then we have Charles Johnson taking on Asu Almakhan. Charles Johnson is a very busy striker, but he stays on the outside. He stays on the outside. He pot shots. He dances around. He gives up the first round in every single fight. And after he gives up the first round, then he'll start to get his hands going a little bit. He'll start to find a rhythm. Hopefully he does that before the halfway point of the second round. Otherwise, he ends up losing close decisions and he's looking confused. Charles Johnson has knocked out the current world champion. Charles Johnson has also knocked out contender Loner Kavanaugh. Charles Johnson has had a weird career where he's losing to people they're very good people he's losing to, but he's losing to people that he probably should beat, like Cody Durden, Ode Osborne, Rafael Estevam. But then he's beating people like the current world champion. He's beating people like Loner Kavanaugh. Charles Johnson takes too damn long to get going, but when he is going, if you could take third round Charles Johnson and put him in the first round, he's winning all these decisions that he's lost, he's winning. But he gives up that first round. And that's going to matter here because he is taking on Asu Almakhan. Asu Almakhan is dangerous for all 3 rounds of a fight. Asu Almakhan will wrestle, he will strike, he will be busy, he will stay in your face. Asu Almakhan is a dominant grappler when he wants to be, and that is probably where he's going to have his success here because we all know Charles Johnson can be taken down. And we also know that Asu Almakhan will snatch your neck if you give it to him. We saw that in his last fight. He was losing to Alex Perez, losing. And then Alex shot a takedown for no reason whatsoever. Asu snatched his neck. Now, if Charles Johnson had the same pressure that Alex Perez does, I'd pick Charles Johnson here, but he doesn't. He hangs out on the outside. The first round's gone. We could just give the first round to Asu right now without this fight even starting. So then we have the second and the third. You add in some Asu takedowns. Probably favorable judges, maybe. Asu is going to be the pick. I don't think I'm going to put him in my lineup because I think it's hard to score a ton of points on Charles Johnson. Obviously, if you take him down 50 times, you could score really well. But he'll defend a few. He'll dance. He'll stay on his bike. He'll stay on the outside. It's hard to score a lot of points on Charles Johnson. This could literally look like, I don't want to say the Nicolau fight because I think there'll be more wrestling, but this could end up looking like a fight where he scores like 80 points, 79 points, something like that, even though he was almost $9,000 salary-wise. Then we have Nazim Sadikov at home, taking on Mataus Camillo. And I say at home, I'm pretty sure the dude's a New Yorker, but he's Azerbaijani. Nazim Sadikov, a solid kickboxer. He's got good speed. He's got good power. He can be reckless because he'll chase. But he typically will take his time, find his openings. He's clean. He's technical. He's slick. He's also a little bit chinny. He has been dropped in way more fights than he should be, including in his last fight where he was full-blown finished. And you can see here he finished Nicolas Mata. He was dropped in that fight. He was almost finished. He's had some interesting matchups where he is getting dropped and wobbled by people you have never heard of. If I run through his career, I can see he has been in trouble in basically every single one of his fights. Nicolas Mata almost KO'd him. He was actually KO'd in his last fight. Vyacheslav Borshev landed 143 significant strikes in that matchup. Terrence McKinney was throwing his ass around before Terrence cast. Veen Letter, that's a person. Veen Letter dropped him. And that's important here because he's taking on Mataus Camillo. And Mataus Camillo is just being written off. People are just like, this guy loses. Why are we assuming he loses? Mataus Camillo's an aggressive guy. He can strike. He can grapple. He's got good power, good cardio. He's got a good chin. He's got a whole bag of submissions. He's going to plot forward, let his hands fly. He will embrace the chaos. He'll base it on the feet and on the ground. He'll give up positions to chase submissions, which that can be problematic because people will scramble out on him. But the reality is he's busy. He's durable. He gets in your face. You can just see he just outworked a kind of old and used up Vyacheslav Borshev, but he outworked him. I am going to pick Nazim Sadikov here because I think Nazim is too good of a striker to just be bullied. With that being said, I think Mataus is a decent underdog. He's tough, so I don't see him getting KO'd or TKO'd. He's busy, so Nazim may not be able to settle in. If Mataus ends up working in a couple of takedowns, maybe Nazim's a little easier to hit because he's worried about two things at once. I like Mataus Camillo to put up a couple of decent points in this matchup, and at that $7,200 salary, I think he's an okay underdog. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Shara Bullet taking on Michelle Pereira. Do not put Shara Bullet in your lineup. $9,200 will not be worth it. I do not think he gets a finish here. We all know he's a technical striker, but we also know he's not the killer they said he was. Now, he's got a couple of finishes. He finished the finishable bum asshole cut from the UFC, Antonio Triccoli. And keep in mind, Triccoli took that fight on like a week's notice. They flew him across the planet to weigh in. Like it was, the circumstances were set up for that, and it still took him to the third round. Arman Petrosian, okay, but Arman, I mean, that actually was one of the coolest knockouts we've ever seen. Like that was a double, was it a double back fist? Wasn't it like left, right, like pang, pang? Like it was absolutely insane. Outside of that, he is not who they said he was. He's not as dangerous as they said, but he is technical and he manages range really well. The takedown defense is solid. He can do a lot of stuff, but I don't think he's going to find a finish. And if he does, I think it'll be late because even if we look at the Triccoli finish, 93 points. Now that would have covered a $9,200 salary and that would have been fine. But this is a very expensive guy taking on a very experienced guy. Now, Michelle Pereira is a shell of who he used to be. He got knocked out by freaking Kyle Dawkins. Fluffy Hernandez breaking him after a bunch of takedowns, that's fine. Knocked out by Kyle Dawkins, that sucks. That actually sucks. I think we get a Michelle Pereira that comes forward. Last fight, he seemed to be falling back into his old ways, swinging wild, being chaotic, faked a nut shot, ran out of cardio. But I think that version of Michelle Pereira will be durable. I think he'll last a little bit. I think he'll start to fade. I think he'll start to slow down. I think he'll shoot a couple of takedowns. I think we end up in a fight that's likely a decision. Shara's going to be the pick. I think it's a clear win. I don't think it's a close fight necessarily, but I don't think he has a finish, and I know he's not going to wrestle. So he's just going to win the striking exchanges, and he'll probably score 70 points, so he won't be worth the $9,200 salary. And then we have the main event of the evening. This is 100% a pick your side situation. First of all, they're the same price, right? $8,200 to $8,000, same price. Second of all, it's a 5-round fight. So if it does happen to go long, you got a lot to work with. Third of all, I don't think it goes long. So if you're on the Manuel Torres side and he gets himself a finish, you're golden. If you're on the Fiziev side and he gets himself a finish, you're also golden. Rafael Fiziev, as we all know, insanely good striker. He was the Tiger Muay Thai striking coach forever. He's durable, he's tough, but he has only won one fight in his last 5. So let's look at the losses. He lost to Mauricio Ruffy. Well, we just watched the White House card. Mauricio Ruffy is on the short list of people who are getting a title shot soon. He beats Ignacio Bahamondes. He had to wrestle 4 takedowns. He might do the same here, but he scored pretty well on that. He loses to Justin Gaethje. All right, the current champion. Before that, he lost to Gamrot. That's not a real loss. He broke his leg in that fight. That's not a real loss. Before that, he lost to Justin Gaethje. All right. That was a back and forth that came down to the 3rd round. Again, current world champion. Before that, he's beaten everybody except Mustafayev back in 2019 in his official UFC debut. Rafael Fiziev is all-time tough, all-time fun. I do unfortunately think he might be heading down the path of a Dan Hooker. But he's taking on Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres is in this matchup because of all these finishes. What is it? He's never seen a second round. I think that's the stat. He has never seen. This dude is kill or be killed. He is finishing people like crazy, or like in the case of his loss to Ignacio Bahamondes, getting finished. Manuel Torres can finish you on the feet. He can finish you on the ground. He'll snatch up submissions. Takedowns are not very good, but he'll find them. And he can knock your head off because he's doing wild spinning shit, because he's throwing. He's not afraid to engage. I am going to pick Fiziev in this matchup because while I originally was going to pick Manuel Torres, after watching the White House card, it just sort of reset my brain for like, yeah, dude, of course Fiziev is losing. Look who he's losing to. The current world champion and the dude that has some of the coolest, cleanest, most casual looking striking in this division. So yeah, Rafael Fiziev is an all-time dog. I don't think Manuel Torres is going to smoke him, right? He's not Grant Dawson. He's not Drew Dober. He's not Ignacio. He's not Chris Duncan. He's not Mata. He's not Camacho. I think Fiziev is better than all of these people. So Rafael Fiziev is the pick, and he will be in my lineup. Guys, that's the breakdown. Check out the damn website. Not only did we build an optimizer that now does DraftKings Captains Mode, it also does FanDuel, and we built out this really cool, really fun beginner mode. The beginner mode allows you to just work through and answer very simple, straightforward questions. Instead of being in a situation where you're stuck looking at it, trying to figure out what these numbers are, trying to decipher. No, it'll just ask you a series of questions. Who's your favorite dog? Who's your most confident favorite? Anybody you absolutely do not want in your lineup? And then you can work from there. You can work your exposure. You can check your lineups after you've built them. We also have an event simulator. Simulates fights 100,000 times. Gives you the individual information. It'll build lineups for you. You can use it to place bets. We have picks. We have bets. We have tools. We have cappers. We have everybody you could ever want or need. Heading into a fight week, it's $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top.